Welcome back to the Abandoned Project series. In the previous episodes, we toured Arcania, my fantasy park inspired by Baldur's Gate 3, and the first version of Lundway, my first steampunk project. We'll still have one last episode to watch after today, so make sure to subscribe to see what's next and leave a like if you enjoy what you're watching. Marvellous Realms is my curse. For most of you, Marvellous Realms is my most recent park series. In fact, some of you might have found the channel thanks to this park. If so, thanks for joining and welcome back. Marvellous Realms was by far the most beautiful and best solo project I've ever worked on in Planet Coaster. I love how detailed every little thing is, which creates this unique realistic park with immersive theming. And despite how proud I am of this project, I am sad to finally tell you that I've decided to cancel the series for two reasons. The first one is that I couldn't have finished the series in time for the release of Planet Coaster 2. The second one is that 3 out of 5 themes that I'd planned are in the sequel, and I want to explore them in more detail in the future instead of rushing them in this park. The only thing you missed from what would have been episode 3 is the addition of the Gerstlauer Skyfly Stunt Troopers that you might remember from the previous episode of the Abandoned Projects, but otherwise, everything is the same as it was in the second episode of Marvellous Realms. I'm starting to think that Marvellous Realms is a cursed name. Despite their amazing ambitions, not one but 2 parks with that name got cancelled. The one we've been looking at so far is actually the second Marvellous Realms, which you know very well, but you might not know about the oldest one from June 2022, the first Marvellous Realms. The original Marvellous Realms project was planned to be my very own Disneyland, with its entrance plaza inspired by what you can see at Disneyland Paris, complete with guest services, infirmary, toilets, ATMs, and having to cross under the train station to reach the park. You can really see it in the train station with this classic style and tainted glass representing the different lands we'll be able to see. Speaking of which, they're also on the ground. There's a sort of map of the park representing the lake in the middle and 4 stars surrounding it with the name of our 4 areas: Europlaza, Valorous HQ, the New World, and Mephiria. As we step underneath the train station, much like Disneyland Paris, you can find lockers and park maps in various languages. And here we arrive in our first area, Europlaza, and yes, this is way too big for its own good. This is the most complete area of the park, and it's supposed to represent all of the European countries that speak the languages of the park maps I've previously mentioned. So we have France, the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain, and in the middle of the plaza we have the 12 stars of Europe's flag. First of all, you can access the Realms Railroad station of Europlaza. It's the only station I could work on, but it's definitely a great build in my opinion. Through the exit, we arrive at the Grand European Hotel. It's a big building for nothing much if I'm honest. I mostly used it for Easter eggs, naming animatronics as other players or as film characters, but the lobby is totally empty apart from the elevators, which are custom hotel boxes. You know, the places where the guests enter the hotel in the game. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that effect. I think it works really well in my opinion. At the opposite side of the plaza, we have our 5 different shops themed to different countries, starting with France and La Parisienne, a bakery that also sells coffee, Sugary Emporium selling all sorts of sweets, which is ironic now that I know about the sugar tax in the UK. Bayerisch Bratwurst, I'm not gonna make a German accent, a German beer house looking shop. Pizzeria di Alto Antonio, my personal favorite, which sells pizzas, wine and gelato. And finally, Sabores Españoles, where you can buy burritos, tacos and churros. I know this is a main street kind of place, but who puts this many shops in a single place? I was absolutely overambitious with this project, which is why I stopped working on it at the time. I mean, look at this mini Arc de Triomphe, this is so stupid even if it looks cool. And we haven't been on a single ride yet. This park in the state I left it in had 4 coasters and a dark ride, as well as the unfinished train if you want to count that. And on top of that, I also planned a second dark ride. What was wrong with me? So, a disclaimer. Everything you will see from this point on is unfinished and was built 2 years ago when I only started playing the game, so the coasters are extremely unrealistic. Alright, now that this is said, let's talk about the superhero-themed nothingness. That's right, I wanted to create something that took the concept of the Avengers campus but made it better with a Velocicoaster kind of ride as its highlight. Long story short, I only ever made the coaster. It's called Neon Impulse. Shall we take a ride on it? While the ideas for this ride were fun, I just didn't know how to make coasters back then. No wonder I burnt out making this park and decided to work on Simple Park right after, which was a better call as a new player because, word of advice, it's better to start playing with small projects and then work your way up your ambitions. I also wanted to put a shooting dark ride based on these knockoff Avengers called the Valorous, where every scene would have had you shoot different powers according to the hero that was fighting the robots alongside you, but I never had the console percentage to do it because I was really bad at planning back then. If we continue going around the park counterclockwise, we enter the new world, the steampunk Japanese area. Just a mix that I came up with when thinking about Tokyo Disney Sea one day, even though there's not one steampunk or Japanese thing to be seen here, but it's got our second thrill coaster, Factorum, an homage to the Smiler, or so I thought at the time. Shall we take a ride? So tell me, how many broken bones do you have? For what I was doing at the time, this wasn't so bad, but when you start comparing it to the coasters I do today, yeah, it's definitely terrible. Let's just move on. Next door, underneath a massive volcano, we have Expedition Divinium, a family-launched swinging mine train bobsled thing? There are way too many words to describe this. Let's just ride it, okay? Now we start to get to the sections of the park where I started doing some work. You can see that with the light theming I started doing, and the triggering with the sounds, the effects, and the big monster. Fortunately for you, I saved the best this park has to offer till last. This is the entrance to Mephiria, a dark fantasy area that is better viewed at night for one reason: the pulsing magic of ghost matter circulating within the ground. That's right, not all areas are empty. In fact, this particular area is where I learned to work with triggers, which helped me tons with trigger work in other projects that you may have seen, like Mind Blasters in Simple Park, the House of Hell in Arcania, or more recently the lighting for Velocity back in July. It's just a way to make stuff seem more magical, and I can't wait to see the things I can do with triggers in Planet Coaster 2. Anyway, enough talk about triggers, this probably bores a lot of you. Let's talk about Ghost Matter, a not-so-family boomerang by Vekoma, which is taking you in the Temple of Lady Eternity to imbue yourself with Ghost Matter by stepping inside Eternity itself. The station for this ride is still one of my favorite I've ever done to this day, although I would hate to work in these conditions. Let's challenge Lady Eternity and take a ride on Ghost Matter, shall we? As you can see, my knowledge of how to build coasters was terrible in 2022, which I hope might inspire you to keep working towards your goals, because I didn't learn to build coasters that I was satisfied with in a single day, no sir. It took hours upon hours of gameplay, and I know there are still some improvements I could do. Persevere, believe in yourself and your projects. With patience you can achieve anything. Let's finish this episode with an unfinished ride on the Deadguard. In this shooting ride, you are a knight of the Deadguard, and something is happening in the realm of the dead, so you must find out what. And voila! This is the fate of my two Marvellous Realms projects, a cursed name that I definitely intend to leave in the first Planet Coaster game. If you want to see more abandoned projects in the next episode, subscribe to the channel and leave a like to let me know you enjoyed the video. If you want to talk about these projects, you can do so in the comments or by chatting in the Yan HQ, my Discord server with the link in the description. I just launched the channel supporter memberships, which gives you 2 days of early access to new videos, sneak peeks at ongoing projects, and cool badges next to your name in Premiere chats, which Shane Turner, New Channel, and Birdie are already rocking. Many thanks to all 3 of you for taking this extra step in supporting the channel. If you'd like to join my supporters, the link to do so is also in the description. Thank you all for watching this video. This has been Yan, and I'll see you in the next one.